A very, very good morning to you on this Friday, the 20th of September. My name is Theophilus van Rensburg-Linster, and if you've tuned in, you've found your way to the Fifth Connection. Fifthfactor.co.za is the website where we are located every morning, Monday through to Friday. For now, we connect around the incredible story of Jeremiah in the Old Testament as we know it of the Bible. Terry Martin is with me during these moments. Terry, how are you this morning?
I'm good, Theo, and good morning to the listeners.
Ready to roll at the end of this week. Probably I'm sure a lot of other folks are ready to roll somewhere else. It's a good place to be, and so we thank you so very, very much for spending your time with us. Terry, the question today is an interesting one. It's got something to do with pain. I don't like pain, but you seem to think that it has something to do with truth. I'm eager to hear what that is about, and we will be joining you, Terry, in just a few seconds.
We are looking at verse 24 to verse 28 of Jeremiah 29. And as we have said before, to write a letter is to send a message to the future. There's something very potent about letter writing. Missives are important. They keep communication going. But this particular letter that Jeremiah has written to the exiles in Babylon has caused great consternation. And so this morning we are going to look at how that when you embrace the pain that comes with standing for the truth, God is the one who will guard your back. He will look out for you. The challenge is embrace the pain that comes with standing for truth. So often we run away from taking the responsibility for standing for the truth. Oh, we want to stand for the truth. We want to say our say and be very firm about it. But the moment the consequences roll, that's where we run and hide. We duck. We are not willing to say the hard thing and to take the responsibility for saying it. I think of that long letter that Martin Luther King Jr. wrote from the Birmingham jail, the Birmingham prison, a long letter to the leaders about why he has finally come and stand with the people who were saying that enough is enough. And of course, the response back and forth was, you need to be patient, Dr. King. You need to really understand how bureaucracy works, and it takes time. And of course, when he pens this letter, he penned it with great eloquence. If you were to take time to read through the pages, you would see just how patient he was. He had the stature somewhat of what Nelson Mandela had in our country, in our struggle. Very similar personalities, willing to stand and willing to pay the price for standing for truth. So Jeremiah becomes the picture of what order looks like in the midst of disorder, because he's the one who stands. And so there are two ideas that I'd like to unpack for us in these few verses that we've read. The first idea comes up in verse number 24, and that is, stick with your story. Don't change your story. Stick with it. Once it's out, stand with it and say, that is what I said, and that is what I will stand by. Now, Men and women, it is very easy in that moment to renege, very easy to back off, very easy to say, I didn't mean what I said, very easy to rescind my intentions when I said it. But this man stands with it. He stands with what he wrote in the letter that was sent to the exiles. And yes, to stand for truth, there's always a price to pay. It's like a youngster said to an adult who was eating a bag of potato chips, he says, "What will you do when the chips are down?" And the man responded, "I'll eat it." Of course, the youngster didn't expect an answer like that. What will you do when the chips are down? It's an idiomatic expression, of course. But the man said, "I'll eat it." It's like that koan, which says, when you come to a fork in the road, what will you do? I want you to think about that for a moment. When you get to a fork in the road, what will you do? Of course, there are many smart responses to that. One response would be, well, pick it up and use it to eat, right? But I still think the best response that I've heard is, when you come to a fork in the road, take it, right? And the pun is intended, take it. Just depends which way you go. Well, this man is a man of authenticity and a man who's willing to stand because he understands that what can go down now could cost him his life. I wonder if you've been at a fork in the road like that, where you were faced with telling the truth and you knew that what would go down wouldn't be in your favor. I have to admit to you, I've been at that point a couple of times across my short lifetime. In the one instance when I stood up and said my say, I would, in a sense, be out of a ministry function. I'm not calling it a position. Some would call it a ministry function was at stake. And I stood with it because very soon after that, I was looking for a job. And so all that to say that when it comes time to standing for the truth, you better see that you're standing in the right place and that you're standing very firmly. But the big thing is stick to your story. Jeremiah doesn't change the story in verse 25. He sticks with his story. And then in verse number 25 to verse 28, here's the second responsibility. Number one, stick with your story as you stand for the truth. And number two, bite the bullet. That is an idiomatic expression, right? It's not an Hebraic expression. It's an English expression. Bite the bullet. Because often we do not count the cost of what is involved in standing for what is right. And it's easy to talk when things are calm and to say your say. But when your comforts are at stake, your salary is at stake, whether you are ministry type or not, when the accolades from people is at stake, what will you do? Will you still stand? Well, the prophet was willing to do that because the judgment upon that would roll on this man by the name of Shemaiah would be great, because he was the one who then says, put this prophet in his neck in irons and put him in the stocks. Right? Because he hated the message that Jeremiah preached. He hated the truth that Jeremiah stood for. What did Jerry stand for? This exile in verse 28 is going to be a long one. Now, none of us like those kinds of messages. They're not the kind of messages that get you to Jesus jump, is it? It's the kind of messages that chill your blood. It's the kind of thing you don't want to hear, but you need to hear it. And I've been thankful to the Lord over my short lifetime in ministry, where I had people in my life who told me exactly where to get on and where to get off. They weren't scared of me. They weren't tickled or in any way intimidated by my high explanatory power or good speaking and good articulation. That did not matter. If they had to reprimand me, they would reprimand me. And I've had a couple of guys like that in my life. I wonder if you do too. They will tell you the truth. And when the truth comes at you, are you willing to stand? Are you willing to stick with it and bite the bullet? Because now the consequences will come. And for days after that, you will chafe, right? You'll sense the pinch or the bite of the stone in your shoe. You'll get the scratching of the grit in your eye because that comment that person made was such a tough one to deal with it. And in your soul, you know that was true. But it's so easy to buckle and to run away. Here's a man who stands and suffers for it and suffers greatly for it. But we can take confidence in this one fact that the God who has called us out of darkness into light is the one who can keep us in the midst of the eye of the storm. He can get us stand strong. Theo, back to you.
Yeah, I really appreciate that line, Terry. God will have your back when you embrace the pain that comes with standing for the truth. It is really, really so powerful. And you had entered that question for us earlier. Why is it so hard to stand for the truth? Sticking with your own story, I was thinking of the fact that we maybe, would you agree with this? Is it because we have maybe gotten away with not sticking to our story? Could that be a habit that we've gotten into, and have started to trust in that instead? Could that be a reason?
Well, again, there are so many reasons, but that's one of them. We don't like the fact that truth hurts. Well, it's easy to say and throw around when things are fine. But when you have to stand for it or when you get told it, that's a very different one to digest, isn't it? Very different pill to swallow because there's so much at stake. My comfort, my my standing in the community, how people perceive me are all at stake. So it takes a man and a woman of confidence that God will see them through when the lights go out.
Thank you for that, and thank you for joining us this morning. We trust with you for today that you will have the strength and the confidence maybe to tell the truth and stand for Him, stand for truth. And if you have the struggle to answer the same question, you are not alone. And be assured that God will have your back when you embrace the pain that comes through those moments where you have to stand for the truth. We will be back with you on Monday, the 23rd of September. We trust that you will have a great, wonderful weekend. Terry, good weekend for you too.
Looking forward to it.
Yes. God bless you all, and thank you so very, very much as we listen to Andre.